We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracies in over 20 countries. We manipulated elections in dozens of countries. We created standing armies and directed them to fight. We went after to organize ethnic minorities to encourage them to revolt. The first thing we did in Nicaragua was to go to the Mosquito Indians, who had never gotten along with the other people in Nicaragua very well, and give them more money than they had seen in the entirety of history, and arms and training and rationales and sanctuaries in Honduras, and sent them into Nicaragua to attack, kill, fight, rape, burn, pillage. And this is an insidious thing. Every society is torn with racial conflicts and conflicts with minorities. Think how violent our nation is. Think what if there were a superpower so big that we didn't dare even flap back or strike back at them, that were coming to our minorities with huge sums of money and arms and training people from our minority groups and sending them into the country to do open acts of violence. How we would rise up and the bloodbath that would ensue. And this has been a technique the CIA has used in Nicaragua, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq with the Kurds, in different parts of the world. We created, trained, and funded death squads like the Treasury Police in El Salvador that are responsible for killing as many as 70,000 people, according to the count of the Catholic Church. And we've assassinated world leaders, including the United States President in 1963, and I'll get to that in more detail in just a moment. Getting back to the subject of democracy, since that's something that Bush and everyone is talking about right now, I remind you of Chile. In 1973, the CIA organized the overthrow of Salvador Allende, the democratically elected president of Chile, and he was killed in the process, and we killed General Schneider, who was the pro-U.S. defender of the Constitution there, in order to put the CIA's representative Pinochet in power. And Henry Kissinger's, when he was grilled by the Congress over this program, his rationale was, yes, the issues are much too important for the Chilean voters to be left to decide for themselves. Now, there was a long CIA destabilization and propaganda campaign against China. We were parachuting teams from Quemoy, Matsu, Tibet, Burma, Thailand to destabilize China with the propaganda campaign, the propaganda aimed at the United States as well as China and other parts of the world, until eventually we talked ourselves into the Korean War, in which 1 million people were, where we fought China in Korea and 1 million people were killed. There was a long CIA destabilization and propaganda campaign against Vietnam until we talked ourselves into going into Vietnam to fight, and 2 million people were killed. Again, read for yourselves. Read Bill Blum's book, The CIA, A Forgotten History. Read Portrait of a Cold Warrior by Joseph Burkholder Smith, who was a CIA case officer in Southeast Asia. Read Fire in the Lake by Frances Fitzgerald, the daughter of Desmond Fitzgerald, the famous CIA chief of operations of Southeast Asia. Read Deadly Deceits by Ralph McGehee, another case officer who served in Southeast Asia. Read Decent Interval by Frank Snapp, who covered the period of time in Vietnam, 73, 75. He and I were colleagues there at that time. Or if you will, read my own book, In Search of Enemies by Norton, which remains the only insider's detailed account of the inner functionings of a covert action. Or read Washington's War on Nicaragua by Holly Sklar, not written by an insider, but a remarkable detail on the Nicaraguan operation, great detail of how that operation has been run. Trying to come to grips with these CIA activities in these broad numbers, trying to figure out how many people have been killed. You can count it up different ways. You can never be sure how many people are killed in the jungles of Laos or the hills of Nicaragua, but adding them up as best we can, we come up with a figure of 6 million people killed, minimum figure. It has to be more than that. 1 million in the Korean War, 2 million in the Vietnam War, 800,000 in Indonesia, a couple of million in Cambodia, 20,000 in Angola, the operation I was part of, 22,000 in Nicaragua, again the figure the New York Times cites. You're dealing with large numbers of people who died who would not have died if our tax dollars had not been spent by the CIA to exacerbate situations and destabilize and set people to fighting. So you began to analyze these figures to figure out who are these 6 million people we've killed. And again, that's a minimum figure. The conservatives tell us it's a dangerous world. our enemies have to die so we can be safe and secure. Some of them say, I'm sorry about that, but that's the way the world is. We have to accept this reality. So you begin to study these things and rip through them and analyze them and break them apart, and you find some shocking common denominators come out to you. Namely, for example, since 1954, we do not parachute teams into the Soviet Union to destabilize the country in a brutal way. Coincidentally, 1954 was the first year the Soviets developed their actual capability of actually dropping atomic weapons on the United States. For other reasons, we don't do these things in England, France, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, Switzerland, etc. These things are all done in countries of the third world where the governments don't have the power to force the United States to stop destabilizing the country and brutalizing their people. These 6 million people killed are people of the Mitumba Mountains of the Congo and the jungles of Southeast Asia and the hills of northern Nicaragua. Conspicuously, they're people who don't have ICBMs or armies or navies. They don't have any capability of doing physical hurt to the United States. The 22,000 killed in Nicaragua, for example, they're conspicuously not Russians. They're not Cuban soldiers or advisors. They're not even percentage-wise mostly Sandinistas. They're mostly rag-poor peasants, including a high percentage of women and children. Communists? I'm sorry, they're mostly Roman Catholics. Enemies of the United States? I can't give you that one either, because we have all these witnesses who've gone down to live in their villages with them, and they invariably come back to testify that the Nicaraguans are the warmest people on the face of the earth, and they love people from the United States, and they simply cannot understand why our leaders would want to rationalize spending $1 billion on a contraforce to go into their villages, to kill them and mutilate them while their families are forced to watch.
Okay, welcome everybody. This video with John Stockwell, ex-CIA, is short. Here he talks only for about 7 minutes. You go to our BitChute channel, Ator Trader, the John Stockwell, ex-CIA, talks for almost 3 hours. You think it's everything? No. On the other side of the stick, we have a video with Yuri Bezmenov, ex-KGB agent. So US cannot blame Russia and Russia cannot blame the US. To know who or what controls the CIA, KGB or other intelligence agencies from other countries, at Ator Trader you watch video with Fritz Springmeier. It's not only this what Fritz Springmeier talks about. In 1 hour you cannot describe everything. There are also other forces, societies. It's only like an introduction, that 1 hour video with Fritz Springmeier. What else? To know who or what controls these entities, societies described by Fritz Springmeier, well, it will be me personally talking about it in the near future. It's like a hierarchy, like the pyramid on a $1 bill where someone or something, or rather something, is on the top. The top, that's what I mean. I will be personally talking about the top. You can find everything at our BitChute channel, Ator Trader. Why am I mentioning BitChute? As of today, BitChute is #1 platform when it comes to free speech. It's not YouTube, not Facebook, not TikTok, not Sriktok, Kot, albo Mwot or whatever. It's BitChute. Additionally, I want to say thank you to Yuri Bezmenov, ex-KGB, and thank you to John Stockwell, ex-CIA. Both of you, I'm sure, both of you had to go through a lot of hardships in life. So a younger generation and the general public today will see more and hear more. Thanks to people like Yuri Bezmenov and John Stockwell, now my job will be much easier. As I said before, I will be talking about the top. You added the top, murdered my mother and made my father extremely sick. Now is the time. For me, it's a pleasure to be on the same team with our brother Jesus Christ and our Father God, the real God. What can you do from the top, from that triangle? What can you do from the top? The triangle. Nothing. Zero. Because you have nothing in me. You can murder me, yeah. You can murder me, but this is not a problem to me. Jesus Christ said we have more than one world. I don't have a problem with that, to be in the better world. Actually, when I will be in the better world, probably I will say, yeah, finally. So who or what is at the top? Before I say it, you have always in your head this warning which I give now. When you know the final outcome which they want to achieve, then you know what to do. Peacefully, I repeat, peacefully. The opposite what they want, peacefully. It is also an important warning to alternative media, real alternative media, not controlled opposition, which is easy to notice. So just do the opposite. So who or what is at the top? It's not governments, it's not central banks, not presidents, not prime ministers, not corporations. Listen now. Not Illuminati, not Freemasonry, not Skull and Bones, not military or whatever. They all operate significantly and they are all there, but they are not on the top of the pyramid when it comes to control. They are below the top. At the top are fallen angels and the chief devil. Jesus Christ said that we have more than one world. Another time, Jesus Christ said that the ruler of this world is the devil. It is in the Gospel according to Saint John 14:30. You think someone or something else is the ruler of this world? Well, open the Bible. Open the Bible and you argue with Jesus Christ. If you think you are smart. So don't argue with me. Look how everything is organized on a mass scale. It is not happening only in one country. It is organized everywhere in this world. And now look at human intelligence. Look outside of your window at humans, your friend, neighbor, or whatever. It is too big for a human intelligence to organize it on a mass scale all over this world. Humans maximum in imagination could imagine something, but not make it a reality in real life. So So if it is too big for a human intelligence to organize it on a mass scale, then who or what could do it? Well, an above human intelligence. And that above human intelligence, it's fallen angels and the chief devil. Additionally, Jesus Christ said that the ruler of this world is the devil, and that Jesus Christ is going to another world. I repeat, another world, the better world. Don't argue with me if you are smart. Just go argue with Jesus Christ. So what do they want, this above human intelligence from the top of the pyramid? One of the things that they want is to control. They also want one world government. So now I go back to the warning which I give and which I gave before. If they want one world government, then you do the opposite, peacefully. You make as many governments as possible, peacefully. Example, Liberland. Liberland is between Croatia and Serbia in Europe. And Liberland is a very small territory. No taxes, no extortion fees, and no control. They want violence? Those from the top of the pyramid? They want violence, chaos, to remove national values and make one world government? You do the opposite, peacefully. Never use violence, guns, or bullets. Liberland was created peacefully. No guns, no death, no violence, no bullets. Create as many Liberlands as possible. Yeah. Create as many Liberlands as possible. When they come to your land, tell them peacefully. You have no authority on this land. Leave, get a real job, and get lost. In the meantime, maybe start considering to stop financing their activities. John Stockwell, ex-CIA, described to you, how some of your money from taxes which you pay, how some of this money is used by the CIA. The same thing occurs in other countries with other intelligence agencies. Jesus Christ said that the devil was a murderer, is a murderer, and will be. From the top of the triangle, the pyramid, they want control, they want wars, they want you to finance everything. You do the opposite of evil. You do good, so you connect with God and Jesus Christ. Last important thing I have to say, a recommendation from me. Number one reading in this world that I know. It is the William Tyndale Bible. William Tyndale, for his translation, was brutally murdered. Today when you go to the store to buy the Holy Bible, you will get in the store King James Version Bible. In the past, King James was a king. Not mine, but some people called him a king. King James was a Mason, Freemasonry, yeah. You can find him as a Mason on the walls of Grand Lodge of British Columbia and Yukon. So yeah, Freemasonry censored the Holy Bible. It's official. You can find all this information on the internet. And today, Today, Freemasonry, they are very proud. You just go get all this information on the internet yourself. It's all official. King James Version Bible censored versus William Tyndale Bible uncensored word from God. So today, no more talking. Praise God and Jesus Christ.